War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. And tonight, as has been the case every single night for the last 5 weeks, we've been talking about the latest Auburn football home game. And this is our reaction live stream to your Auburn Tigers falling to the Bayou Bengals by the score of 21-7. We'll be taking some comments, questions in the chat tonight as they're appropriate, and we'll be discussing just our initial reactions to what just occurred out there in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And I'm sure there's a lot of opinions, a lot of topics that y'all want to hit, some that aren't even really pertinent to the game itself, but we'll try to keep the majority of that focused on that tonight. A couple things that you could do for me as we get started tonight. Please do make sure that if you are watching live, but even on the replay, make sure you smash the like button if you enjoy this type of content. Please do help us by doing that, but also do use our check-in period right now and let us know where you're watching from. City, state, international, post that right now with a War Eagle, even during tough times. Or if we've got some Bayou Fingles wanting to come in here and gloat, go ahead, have your fun too. So that is what I'd like for you to do there, and let me set the table for the expectations for a reaction show. Obviously, we're not in studio, so we are on the road in the mobile broadcast studio discussing this, aka my car. So there will always be some connectivity issues sometimes, audio issues at any point in time. Please do let me know if there's any issues with that so I can try to address them. Connectivity issues I really can't do a whole lot about, but we'll work around them as best we can. Hopefully the lighting's a little bit better for you guys this time around too. Just keep me posted on that kind of stuff in the chat. I appreciate you guys always being consistent with that. Let me also address this right up at the front. The popular topic is going to be to fire Harsons, discuss that kind of angle. Not that we won't hit some of that tonight, but let's try to focus more on the reaction of the game, at least to start with. Just some things that stuck out to us from that as much as you can. And I'll be honest with you, if you want to get your comments addressed and brought up on the screen, it's probably best to have something more productive than just fire Harsin put up there. Also, one last thing, I know I keep setting the table for a lot of things tonight. I would like to start off tonight with some positives, because I do believe that it just becomes a toxic nature if we don't actually talk about some of the things that we're happy with. So I'll go ahead and start off with those type of things, and then I'll hit some of the comments and topics that you guys are most interested in discussing tonight. Very happy with the defense. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but 2 games in a row they have showed up to play, played their hearts out, and are the reason for many reasons we were in this game tonight. I thought Robbie Ashford had a great game for the most part. It was not a perfect game. You're going to hear a lot of that. Great, performances when you look at it holistically, but still some some bad problems there as well. The passing game in general showing up tonight was a big thing too. But we'll discuss the ins and outs of that a little bit more in detail as we get throughout our discussion tonight. And I want to stress this. As much as I don't like LSU fans as a whole, we obviously talked to a very great LSU fan on our last live stream. But this was a pretty fun game day. Everybody was mostly well behaved, as much as some of the what we think of LSU fans can be. I think they probably respect where they're kind of at too, and they're not as forward with their assuredness of themselves. It was just a great weather day, great football atmosphere, great game day atmosphere. So just wanted to get that out there at the start, because otherwise we just are going to delve into the not fun stuff too much without addressing this thing. So with that being said, obviously this looks like it's going to be a pretty full stream. So if there's a topic that you want brought up and I keep missing it, my apologies, but the best thing you can do is keep putting it in there. Jordan, here's the first one up at the top here, the chat. The 4th and 10 call. I figured this was going to be a lot of the discussion points tonight about those calls and people questioning the call and that. And frankly, you saw a lot of the media people doing that too. I think it's very easy for us to sit back and make those calls. How stupid and dumb. I know that was my initial reaction, but then after I have the initial reaction, I sit back and think about the context of the situation. Your kicker's not been as sure of himself tonight. It's missed 1 of 2. Your offense, your passing game's been pretty on point, at least compared to where it has been. It's shown a lot of propensity to move the ball downfield that way. It was not the worst call. Still probably wasn't a call I would have made, but it was not the worst call. But I understand some people's trepidation in doing that. Really, Jeff, when you talk about this game, you brought it up. This is a game we handed to Ole Miss, LSU. So LSU fans, I know this is where y'all going to start chiming in. Oh, you're just making excuses, blah, blah, blah. There were many bogus calls, and y'all know that if you're being a reasonable person. But also, we gave the ball over to you too many times. This was our game, and we handed it to you. Just point blank and simple. I'm not one to make excuses. I usually give credit where credit is due. LSU did not deserve to win that game tonight. Now, they took advantage of the opportunities. So you give them that much credit, but that's about as much as I'll give them right now. At this moment on a reaction show. We outgained. Whoops. Try to get over here to this is the tough part about operating from the mobile broadcast studio. We outgained LSU by almost 200 yards, but having 3 turnovers in the last 10 minutes kills your chances completely. 100% agree. This game was won and lost in the turnover battle. If we don't turn the ball over, this is our game easily. Easily. I'll say that again. Easily. LSU was making all kinds of mistakes early in the game, penalties galore, dropping the balls left and right. This is not at least tonight, this was not a good LSU football team. And we let them take this win. I thought why does it keep doing that? Apologies, guys. It's doing some weird things to me tonight. I thought we played harder than we have all season, but bottom line is we have to play perfect to win, and we haven't been able to do that. I don't know that we have to play perfect, but we cannot play a game where we're getting too dicey with the turnover margins, and that's what's happened, right? You look at Penn State too. That's we made Penn State look like they were world beaters, and they're not that right now. They're a good team, but they're not that. And so it's really just the turnover thing that's killing us right now. Oh, I might have to skip ahead a little bit, so apologies for that. Let's see here. Neil says that Auburn doesn't have to play perfect. I agree with that. If not for the missed field goal earlier, we are kicking for win and not stressing for touchdown in the last 2 minutes. Yeah, it's easy to play the ifs, ands, and buts game. And yeah, logically, but I would make the case to you, if we actually complete what you should do is score the touchdown there, then we're really not talking about this situation either. I really do think if Auburn had done what they were capable and about to do tonight, go up 21-0, this game was over with. There was no way that LSU was going to get back into that. They may have made it a run and made it really interesting at the end, but I think Auburn would have iced the game away eventually with the way the defense was playing. That's just my belief. Very easy to say that right now, but yeah. Cortland asks, would you put the most blame on Keesaw? I'm not really into playing the blame game at this moment, even though I know that's our reaction, right? And I know this is a reaction show. We got to blame somebody. Fire Harsin, fire Keesaw, fire Schmedding. Obviously not fire Schmedding, but, I know this is the answer that not a lot of people like. I put a lot of the responsibility of the players, the decision-making process. Yes, there's coaching that goes into that, but at some point, players got to execute. You can coach them all you want, but if they don't do it, what are you going to do? Then they're responsible to make the changes to put players in the game, but what if everybody's making those mistakes? It's just a convoluted rabbit hole. At this point in time, I don't think it's appropriate really to put blame anywhere until we actually sit back and get past this reaction phase. But I understand that. There were some decisions that I wouldn't have done, but they also were very efficient at moving the ball tonight through the air. So, you kind of go with what's hot right now. Yeah, Neil, that was a kicker. I was sitting in at that time. I changed seats to go sit with some friends, but I was sitting and watched it happen. And, my gut was that it was a fumble. Kept looking at it. You would see different angles, and the Robbie fumble looked more so you could make a case where it was the forward pass situation, but it was just too close. He's only missed two, but I think the leg injury took his long-range power out of his bag. Well, if you think that, Brian, then you're going to have to explain to me on kickoffs why he's able to still do what he does. And just because he doesn't kick it out doesn't mean that his leg power is not there. There's strategic decisions made about who you kick to, who you don't kick to, where you place it, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just kick it out, and we've seen him kick it out of the end zone. So I think missing field goals is not necessarily an issue of strength because of the injury, but in terms of the overall aspect of it, mentally, just being comfortable, that could obviously potentially play into that. Let's see here. Robbie could be a decent quarterback, have to work on that windup like he's coming off the mound with a heater, even on a 10-yard pass. Well, he's a baseball guy, right? You know, listen, when we discuss Robbie too, I do want to give credit to Robbie tonight. I thought he rose to the occasion in several ways, throwing for 300-something yards, I think is what it was tonight. Not a great average. I think 1 for every 2, basically. Maybe he was on the bad side of that. But I mean, we were in the position we were because of what Robbie was doing with the ball as a quarterback. Not utilized a lot in the run game, but it's not that there was a lot of opportunities. It kind of feels, just like you're digging, what's the expression? You're kicking a horse while it's down. I don't know. Kicking something while it's down if we just keep harping on this offensive line. Just point blank, the offensive line is not good. Not good. Michael, love the positivity. Love our young receivers tonight and our defense. Some great opportunities. Camden Brown getting his first touch. Was that his first touchdown? I believe so. Yeah. There's so few and far between receiver-wise this year. It's kind of hard to think about it. But Camden Brown getting that catch, a little bit overthrown, but when you have a receiver like that, you can trust him to do that type of thing. Robbie's surrounded. He finds himself in a situation where he is the best option, and some of his deficiencies, whether it be an overthrow and not as accurate, he's got some pieces around him that can help with some of those things. So, it's really odd. I find myself, when we're talking about a reaction show for this game, I'm super frustrated and disappointed. But because of what I saw out there on the field tonight, yes, some of the same problems, some of the same mistakes, I saw a team that actually looked better in a lot of aspects tonight. And that I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything, but I fully expected to come into this game and Auburn not really do much, and they were in control of the game, and then they gave up control of the game. So, yeah. I see lots of positive with the game. It reminds me of the LSU game in 2013 and could make us a better team going forward. Well, I hope you're not thinking that it's going to move us into the situation where we're going to go be playoff bound. We are now behind the 8 ball, not just because of overall record, but because of SEC. You've got to hope. I know this is too forward thinking. We got much bigger issues to think about, but we are. Right now, we need to be fighting for bowl eligibility at this point is really what it amounts to. And that's really all it kind of boils down to at this point. Good thing, though, is SEC looks pretty wide open, depending on how you look at some of the results from today. Where was number 14? I guess Landing King. Haven't seen him today. I'm sure he was out there some, but they try to get the ball to everybody. Let's see here. I'm not mad at Auburn. UJ barely beat Missouri. Ashford threw for 100. Well, look, I think it's a good place to be tonight. I think a lot of Auburn fans are finally settling into the question of, or not the question, but the concept of, we know what we are this year, and we know where we're capable of getting to. It's the question of, can we get there before things completely fall apart? So it's funny, as this game was kind of getting out of our control, and now that I'm sitting here, I find myself in a much different state of mind than I thought I would be. Seems like some of you all as well do. Logan, I 100% agree with this, but unfortunately, people are too focused about looking across the state and across to the next state of what our rivals are doing, and feeling like we're falling behind. But they don't understand that if you continue to change things, you probably will, at this rate, follow more behind. So I'll bring the topic up. What does firing Harsin fix? It doesn't fix the offensive line. It doesn't fix the problems this year. In fact, it probably extenuates those problems. Why not let him figure it out this year, see how the year plays out, and then make a decision? I still don't agree with that. I think a coach should be given 4 years. I say 3 to 4 for most people here because they can't take that, but 4 years. But we're, just reading the tea leaves. It doesn't feel like we're going to get that, does it? I see a lot of you talking about Bryce. Obviously, you never hope that a player gets hurt, but, in essence, it, kind of makes things harder for our rivals. So I hate that someone got injured, but, it is what it is. What are our chances for the Birmingham Bowl? Listen, we don't need to be picking bowls right now. We need to be hoping for a bowl at this point. And I'm not trying to be despondent and down in the dumps about that. I'm just being real because, you start looking at things now. You're 3-2 when you should have at least been 4-1. You got to find 3 other wins. Western Kentucky's one. And next week, Ole Miss, maybe Mississippi State, maybe Arkansas is at home. That's in Texas A&M. There's a lot of opportunities to be bowl eligible. Got a lot of things to fix, though. Plenty of time to do it, though. Papa Cotty says the best game we played, but do you see what I was talking about with the linebackers last week? I will say I found myself, again, a little bit hard to find right moments for the linebackers. So you may have had a little bit of this, considering what you said last week. In light of this game, I would probably tend to agree with you more. Some missed tackles and things like that. Yeah, a little bit disappointing. It'll be interesting when I sit down and do it on Monday, our grade show, what I think then. Lots of freshmen and good year for experience. Western Kentucky won't be easy. They beat FIU 73-0. Okay, come on. Let's see. All right, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. High fly, really way too far in advance to be thinking about that. I mean, I hope for 6-6. I really do. I hope for 6-6. I believe we can get there, but that's what I'm aiming for right now. I just want a bowl game. All right, back on. I know we're going to start getting more of this because I brought it up, but problem with not firing Harsin is the lack of recruiting. I'm not sure if he's more focused on the season at hand and thinking he can make up on breaks, but it doesn't seem that'll work. So I've seen this notion a lot that firing Harsin will help recruiting. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of these guys are signing up for Harsin. They'll switch around. Does bringing on a new coach, if you go out there and make a splash hire, who that is, good luck, get you some momentum? Sure. But it doesn't fix the immediate problems. And that's what I've been a lot of the times on this channel trying to get people to realize is that the problems are bigger than recruiting. The problems are bigger than the offensive. This is something we made a decision. I did not agree with that decision to change regimes, and not just regimes, but systems, mindsets, ways of doing things. And that takes time. That takes pain. I hope the pain wouldn't be as bad. My favorite phrase has been, it didn't have to be this way, but here we are. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble for bringing that up. Hillbilly, it's funny. It's easy for us to sit back there and say those things and read these articles where I'm just going to say it. There's a lot of media people that have vendettas against Brian Harsin. So you kind of need to think about that when you read some of these things. But, I actually did talk to someone that works with recruiting, and I asked kind of his honest opinion on the side and said, is it bad? And he said, yeah, it's pretty bad from what I'm being told and stuff like that. So it's not that I'm dismissing that and not saying that some of the recruiting things of what we think he should be doing aren't being done. It's just, you're going to have to ask the question, what does firing Harsin solve? You cannot guarantee that it solves recruiting. So what's the point other than making ourselves feel good? Ha, we got the coach. He's fired. Doesn't really solve any problems. 5 stars in tonight. Some commits. So here's a great thing. If you want to talk about good things tonight, the recruits know that Auburn's struggling. This isn't a new thing. Recruits didn't show up tonight and see Auburn lose and are like, wow, I didn't expect that. But what they did see was a crowd that was there till the end, until the victory formation, and was loud, was into it. The team showed life. So there's a lot of things that recruits saw tonight that are very good for recruiting. And you lose a lot of that if you fire somebody. Hillbilly, if you really think that hiring Deion Sanders is going to fix recruiting permanently, we're just not going to be able to see eye to eye on that. Deion Sanders will be a flash in the pan. If he gets hired, I'm going to support him. I'm sure he'll bring some recruits in. That is not going to fix the problems. It is the Bobby Petrino. It is the who was the last super hyped hire that everybody wanted? Lane Kiffin. Some of those like that. Recruits equal playing time. Playing time is readily available, especially on the offensive line if you want it. I'll disagree with you on that as well. Deion, just because he's only been at it's the HBCU level, doesn't mean he can't coach. We don't know that. He hasn't coached at the Power 5 level yet. But I'm not going to say that Deion can't coach, but I'm also not going to say that he will instantly fix recruiting. Will he get some 5 stars? Sure. But 5 stars do not fix the program immediately. Michael, great question. I figured you were going to bring this up. We had some very bad calls tonight. Very, very, very bad calls on us. LSU was making a lot of penalties earlier, and those suddenly just seemed to stop, didn't they? It was odd how that worked. Lots of holding calls that went undone. It's honestly, I'm trying to get specifics out of my head now, but there were so many of them. It was bad. I mean, I do not like blaming a loss on the refs because I think that's petty. But this is one of those cases where the refs clearly were very bad tonight in one favor, and it affected the game. But also, we affected the game because of how poorly we handled the ball. Recruiting is important. The way the second halves have been coached has been my concern since Ole Miss. So, Brian, answer this question for me. What would you have done differently tonight? Explain to me what I hear that a lot, but nobody gives specifics that haven't been said before. Give the ball to Tank more. Give the ball to Tank more. See what happens. This isn't a one thing fits, and I'm not saying that you're saying that, but I hear that a lot, and I see the results of it. 17-0 lead. We give up 21 points. Don't know what it is. It's simple, so simple. Without the horses, you're not winning the race. Sure, but you got to do something with the horses. If that was the case, Gene Chizik would still be here because he brought him in. If you love me so much, Tyler, why didn't you come see me tonight? By the way, thank you to the viewers and listeners who stopped by and say hello throughout the day, throughout the weekend. Thank you guys so much. I would ditch the notion to go for it on 4th down all the time. Not if you're desperate. Opposing teams are making much better adjustments, but what are those adjustments? Give me some specifics on that. What did they do differently? Not just, you can't, it's very easy to look at the results and say they made better adjustments. But what did they make? Can you give me some specifics on that? Let's see here. Here, I will give you a specific screenplays and more motion in quick sense, less drawn out plays and more pace. Boom, it's fixed. Well, why aren't they signing you, Michael? It's easy for us to sit back there and say those things will work. But we actually didn't do a screenplay tonight that I can remember. We did those little, if you count throwing it out there and having one guy screen a cornerback. That's kind of a screen, but not really. What about the Auburn high school coach? 4th and 1, go for it. So you're saying do go for it or not? I think at 4th and 1, you go for it. Frankly, you know, and if I want to say something good about the offensive line tonight, did we lose on a 4th and 1 tonight at all? I can't remember. But we did quarterback sneaks a lot. So we're learning from those mistakes. We're not starting the ball 3 yards back to try to get him 4th and 1. So if you want to talk about making adjustments, the coach is doing that or not, those are some adjustments. Man was very successful tonight. So to me, that was one encouraging sign with the offensive line, is taking care of 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, and pushing that pile forward and just keep the drive going. That is, thought that might be the opposing team leaving, but it's not. It's just an ambulance. By the way, does anybody have an update on the LSU player? I did not get to see what happened. I mean, I wasn't, but it was on the other side of the field. Anybody got an update on that? Let's see here. I'm not paid millions to make adjustments. Our coach is. If I knew what adjustments to make, I'd apply for the job. But if that's the case, then don't sit here and say make adjustments if you're not going to offer any, solutions. But I believe the results, 21 second half points in eight Power 5 games indicate we have a second half issue. Yeah, very easy to sit back there and say that. But if you're not going to offer solutions, it's kind of a moot point. Let's see here. Blitz was coming all night and spreading out never happened, and they stacked the box just like every time we lost. So you're saying you missed the spread. Didn't have to be this way. There's somebody I hope that's watching that hears me say that, and I hope it's getting their goat right now. And you know who you are. I see you keep posting the high school coach thing. We're not. Changing the positions of the offensive line players was a huge difference in my eyes. Corey, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about putting Counsell at center? Because Cam Stutz was still there. Troxell was still there. Alec Jackson moved, I guess, up because Counsell was moved over. I didn't feel like outside of the 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 situations, there was a huge improvement from the offensive line. They let a lot of pressure come from the backside, thus the Robbie fumble. It's not that it was worse. It's not that it was bad. There was anything really super exciting to get better about. It's just kind of maybe what you expected. Tell me, Kyle, do you not think all kinds of studs would come to Auburn to play for Dion? No, I don't. I don't. Because you can't guarantee that. Until I see improvements in the second half, I don't want to hear about nothing else. We got to learn to finish or nothing else matters. That's a good point. Yeah, but what would you do differently? That's what I'm looking for. Anybody got, I know this is a reaction show where I'll just kind of spitball in here, but what would you do differently? Jordan, I've seen this let me bring this up here. Sorry, I did that weird thing again. Could it be because the first couple of drives are scripted? We come out really strong. Yeah, I mean, I think that's becoming more clear that we are very good at scripting. We are very good at being prepared in the early part of the game. Where we struggle is where we have to innovate a little bit. And I think, yes, there is coaching involved in that, decision-making, coaching decisions, but you also have to just ask the question, are the players capable of pulling off what we need to be able to pull off? Right now, it doesn't seem that because we can't protect the ball. We can't make the correct decisions. We can't hold on to a punt. We can't not fling the ball on a trick play and get it intercepted. And instead of just throwing it out of bounds, we are not in a position. I'm trying to think what I was going to say there, and it didn't. It worked in my head and it didn't work. Kind of like how our offense did. Anyway, personnel to fit the scheme is the issue. Fair. Barry, my opinion, offensive line was better than last week. Robbie improved, but yes, we need to make ... Maybe I'll feel differently about the offensive line when we do our grade show. I don't find myself super upset with the offensive line tonight. It's just kind of more of the same with very few, and maybe I'll feel differently later, but that's just kind of my initial reaction. Tough game for Corey Moore tonight. Well, it started out good. Yeah, my advice is to Auburn players, and they don't care what I think, don't mouth off to your former team until after the game. I mean, if you want to do it after the game, everybody does it after the game. I'm surprised we haven't gotten LSU fans invading here yet. It'll happen after the fact. That's when usually the trolls come in, when they don't have to own up to their comments. They can just type them away and run and scurry away. Yeah, don't talk trash until after the game. Robbie 3 for 337. Yeah, wowza. I know. I think we're all shocked by that. Dale says, second half, we always go back to the Gus. Maybe, but not to this extent. We at least put points up. Improvements are looking better and play calling adjustments are looking better. Oh, you're saying improvements are looking better and play calling adjustments are looking better. I'm not understanding the comment, Michael. Sorry. Hillbilly, you have no clue then. Hope we hire Dion and prove you wrong. Hey, listen, I've always said this. When I didn't agree with hiring or firing Malzahn at that particular time, didn't say it didn't need to happen later on, just at that particular time, I said I hope I'm wrong because that means Auburn succeeds. So if you get to be that, you can come back over here, Hillbilly, and tell me you were wrong. But guess what? I'll be celebrating along with you. I don't mind being wrong because that means Auburn wins. Love the lighting, Kyle. Thank you, buddy. How are the Go Tiger fans tonight? They were, I said this earlier in the stream, they were fine. They're kind of, they seem as a collective, individuals are different, but as a collective to understand where they're at, there's not a lot of room to be arrogant right now. And if you listen to our friend, or my friend, and my former pastor, Teeman Knight, who joined us for the preview game, he kind of said as much. A lot of athletes, a lot of talent, still yet to be put together. Score more than 20 points, I agree. Here's what I'd like to have happen. I'd like us to continue to do what we're doing, scoring early, but put at least a touchdown on the board after the fact in the second half. Hillbilly, if you are still watching, Tyler just loves to instigate. And he loves me too much. Defense was impressive overall, having to fight those terrible turnovers, equally terrible field position. So remember, if you want to all kind of find some solace tonight, remember how at times early on the defense was a little bit questionable, especially, from the Penn State game. They're showing that what we all thought they could be, they are who we thought they were. They can potentially be that and more, despite the positions. There's no quit. These guys, they do their best, had to fight against the refs tonight a lot, and an LSU team that made the plays at the right time. And they kept us in a position to be able to compete tonight. We just did not help them offensively. And Dion would be the best thing to happen to Auburn in 10 years. Hope you're right. I also hope you're wrong, because I do think a coaching change right now is what's most important for Auburn. Don't be mean to Devin. What did Devin say? Devin is not greater than Kyle. If you've met Whit, what's my cousin? Devin is one of the most awesome Auburn people that you'll ever meet. Thank you, Alan, for reminding people of that. I guess their classy coach is wearing off on them. Let's wait and see. LSU usually brings itself out. Let's see here. I'm trying to catch up on some of these things. I appreciate that, Michael. Obviously, not everybody sees eye to eye with me here, and that's great. I think we don't need to live in an echo chamber, but I hope you guys enjoy what we put out, because I enjoy putting it out for you, even when it sucks to talk about losses, because you help me process maybe as much as I help you process, it as well. I don't know if I help you. Rob, do you feel Harsin opened the trick play bag tonight because of the hot seat? Some were tricks, some were Robbie improvising. I did find myself, Rob, tonight asking the question, was all the stops being pulled out? I find myself after the game leaning more towards leaning on what was hot. Your offense was kind of churning. Those little sparks that we kept having happen, you kind of want to feed off of those things. Thus, the first 4th and 10 call. The second one worked brilliantly because they got a pass interference. This first time around, I'm sure that's what they were going for. In the moment, yes, I was thinking maybe that's kind of what was going on. But now I'm kind of thinking, just if I'm putting myself in Coach Harsin's situation, they're seeing what I'm seeing from my offense, Coach Keesaw. You're making big plays tonight. So why not? Why not? Maybe a little both. I don't know. I think Witt's just stirring things up. One of your babies is sick. Well, thank you for still being here. Michael Quattlebaum is an Auburn fan now, and that's a W. I didn't know he wasn't. That's unfortunate. And if he wasn't. Oh, Russell, man. Oh, dang it. Well, next time we'll have to make it happen. High Fly, Auburn Performance Center update. I thought that I would have time to give you guys that. I may still, if I end up staying the night here. I don't know if I am or not yet. Maybe. We might give you, there's nothing really much to see because you can't go inside. The last word was later this season. It was supposed to open up. I would bet we will now wait till the end of this season, given the nature and uncertainty of Coach Harsin's job, at least speculation-wise. You probably would like to make a splash opening that up with a new regime or knowing that you're going to move forward with Harsin. It's a great question, and I think I kind of answered that. Where I'm sitting right now, I can see it more likely that they make a change, whether we agree with it or not, if that answers your question. Yeah, isn't that the nature, Jordan, of trick plays? If they work, you're a genius. If they don't, you're stupid. And it's very easy for us to sit back and say that. I appreciate the aggressiveness. One of the things that we would be frustrated about is we're not moving the ball, or we're not taking chances, throwing the ball down the field. I know that's two different things than trick plays, but there was effort tonight. There was an understanding of the situation and saying, hey, listen, man, maybe it was pull out all the stops. We tried our best. Sometimes your best isn't good enough. My understanding is no, Corey, but I have not heard anything official about that. Dual sport athletes, you only see them traditionally be fall and spring guys, which would work in this instance. Robbie, the way he's going, he better stick to football right now. I find humor in that. I don't think he's out yet, but that's a pretty good analogy right there. I'm not gonna lie. All right, we're not done just yet. We'll stay on for a little bit longer, but please do. Right. See, this is the problem. My cousins and their friends get on here and mess with me the entire time. I enjoy it, but just for you, I'll hydrate, baby. All right, we'll continue to take comments and questions. Keep them coming. A couple things I want to keep you aware of. Check out the links in the description for ways that you can help support the channel. You can be a channel member here. $1 a month is all it takes. Join the Booster Club. That's also $1 a month. You get more perks with that. Like today and this entire weekend, I've been sharing updates from campus. Tidbits of information I get from time to time. You guys get them. All those kind of things. And just check out all the other links that you can have in there. Make sure you smash the like button, all that stuff. And if you haven't, please do go check out our second YouTube channel, which is all of our audio podcasts. If you've been here for a while, you know that we used to post those all on here. For a variety of reasons, it is better to have them on their own separate channel. So please go over there if you want not just to hear me on those podcasts, but all of our other content creators. It is called E2C Auburn Podcast by E2C Network, and it's usually linked with all the other stuff. So check that out. Subscribe if you haven't done that. Kevin, says I'm still an Auburn football fan. Of course you are. You're one of the most optimistic fans, and I appreciate that about you, buddy. I wish we gave the ball to Tank more. I think we all kind of said that at least some point tonight. I'd like to have a little bit more context before reacting to that, though, because I'm wondering issues with maybe dinged up or something, or because surely they know Tank's, one of their best athletes. I mean, he was out there a lot, just being passed to a lot. But yeah, everybody wanted to give the ball to Tank, give the ball to Tank. Why are we only giving him 9 carries? And you see what happens, right? He broke one loose. What a great question. The TeePublic is a link in the description for these videos. If you go to that and click on it, I believe the sale is still going on. If not, there will be another one coming if you want to wait for that. But please, if you want to go ahead and buy one now, you can do too. It's right there. There's other shirts there. The War Dustbuster t-shirt is there as well if you want to get that. teepublic.com/E2C network is where you can find that, but the link is in the description. That is our store for all of our gear. LSU fan, we got one. Tough loss. Thought we were done. Went down 17. Well, there's the great thing you didn't know about this, LSU fan. When your Auburn team this year goes up early, they will always give it up. So congratulations on the win. If you go back and watch some of this, and I'll just kind of reiterate it, we do not feel that y'all deserve this win. We gave it away. Refs had a little bit of hand in it too. I know that seems petty, but it's kind of obvious. LSU did not play well tonight, but they did what they needed to win. So credit to you for winning the game. Let's see here. Still a lively stadium made the loss. So I'm guessing you're an Alabama fan then, Guadalbom. We all have our problems. I wish we gave it to Jarquez more. He was the best back tonight. We gave it a lot to him, and he was utilized in the passing game a lot. So, and some people are saying, give it to Tank more. Do you take it away from the hot hand Jarquez in that instance? You can only have really truly one running back out there in most sets. So, yeah, there's two running back sets. I know. Well, I at least feel a little better about the Georgia next week. Not Georgia, not the Georgia. Next week, seeing Mizzou give them a heck tonight. Anything is possible. Russell, I would caution you, buddy, and I love the optimism, but I would caution you to not read into that too much. That is a road game. Anybody can get hyped. Look what we did against Alabama last year. No business being in that game, and we should have won it. Georgia is still going to be Georgia. They are going to be hyped for this game next week. They are ready to rub our noses in it, like we wish we could do to them as the little puppies that they are. Don't think the Missouri game is any indication that they will not be ready for us. Love the optimism, Kevin. Don't think that's going to happen right now. Statistically, miracles do happen. Hillbilly has a point. See, here's the frustrating thing about all this. I think everybody acknowledges this for the most part, if you're being reasonable. Auburn has the skill, the talent, the ability, and the miracleness, if you want to call it that word, to make this season a good one, given certain context. The frustrating thing is we're just not making it happen right now. And I think that is what's so mind-boggling to me personally, but a lot of people. We have the ability to be a better football team. It's just not coming together. If given enough time, Coach Harsin and the players, will it happen? We won't know unless that time comes. And I'm worried that tick, 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 it's not coming. Back to the Dion stuff. I don't think Dion would take the job even if it was open, first of all. We would have just fired our second coach in 3 years. That would raise a red flag to any coach. Yes and no. there are bigger reasons not to come to Auburn than just that we fired 2 coaches in 3 years. Again, context is missing from that, but I understand what you're trying to say. Deion's just not the answer, in my opinion. But that's why it's an opinion. Sometimes it stinks, and you may not agree with it. It's been a while since we held LSU under 300 yards and lose. Yeah. It's a weird night, right? You look. It's kind of similar to the Penn State game. You look at the stats. I think Zach Blackerby maybe is who wrote it. Again, after Penn State, he showed the stat line. He said, "Tell me who won this game, or tell me the score of this game." And you would like to say, "Well, probably this team won, but it was probably a close game." No, you look at this tonight. Probably tells you that Auburn won. I know Deion's ready. How do you know? Do you know him personally? Because if you don't know him personally, I think you're just speculating. Georgia's going to be extremely tough, but we got some desperation amongst players and coaches, I feel. Let it all hang out next week. Well, they should have let it all hang out this week. But didn't really matter, did it? I'm sorry. It feels like I'm getting more negative these days, and I think it's just kind of the reality of everything just finally settling in with me. I believe in this team. I believe in this coach. I believe that we can make something of this season. It's hard to watch the same things continue to rise up, isn't it? It's a little bit frustrating. All right, kind of reiterating back to the points we started off with, and some of you brought that up, some high points tonight. Robbie's, most of his performance tonight was very good. Surprising the passing game as well. Atmosphere tonight was great. The whole weekend was a great weekend, again, of college football. Not as great as the Penn State weekend. I think the Penn State weekend just overall will go down as one of the greatest college football weekends I've ever had. But this one was really good too, and everything that you could hope for out of the Auburn LSU matchup. Night game, great weather, all that stuff. And then the defense played really great tonight. So there are a lot of positives tonight. You know, this wasn't a waste. I had a great time. Saw friends, saw listeners, saw viewers. So as much as we are disappointed about the result, some of the continued issues, I find a lot of reasons to still be happy to be an Auburn Tiger. And I'm all choked up now because of my voice. But I'm not. Let's see. High fly. I'm going to reserve that for right now because it doesn't help anything other than just make us feel good about ourselves and act like he's actually gone already. You know, I'm concerned. I have no reason to think this, no information, no source, that maybe we might find out something tomorrow. It's just a gut feeling. But maybe it'll be bad. Some conventional wisdom has been that they would wait till the bye week to give the team, 2 weeks to adjust to the changes, having an interim and all that kind of stuff. But depends on what the good old phrase of powers that be believe. If you all believe that they're the ones in control, that they will pull the trigger or not. I agree, Quentin. Give them time, but unfortunately, Auburn fans are not the most committed these days, or patient. Kevlar, we somehow managed to upset Bama this year, then I will forget about every other thing in this team. Well, most people would criticize you for that mentality, but I get it, and I kind of agree with it. As much as I'd love to believe, even without Bryce Young, that could happen, you saw what they did against Arkansas, even without him. I would focus on one game at a time at this point. And Devin, yeah, I agree with this, that there's no need to talk about the replacement until it actually happens. But, most Auburn fans, not most, a lot of Auburn fans who push that narrative are just looking for something to make them feel better because they can't find value in other things, such as, such as some comments I'm seeing right now. Well, and look, Russell, you know me, you've been here long enough. I hate just diving into the toxicity of social media and all that kind of stuff as much as I have to be involved in it and nature of losing and stuff like that. So you got to find when you finally find the context of where your team is at, you can start rationalizing and understanding what needs to happen, where your expectations need to be. And then it's not that you accept mediocrity, as people like to call it, you just understand what the reality of the situation is, and you kind of have a better understanding of things. Can we play Bama like we did last year? I sure hope so. Sure hope so. We talked about this a little bit, Rob, earlier, I think, with the team. Do you really feel a head coach change would help the team emotionally? I guess you're asking maybe to the group here. Yeah, I don't think a firing of a Harsin does not fix these problems. These are much bigger than Harsin. Much bigger than the offensive line, but that's a big one. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be on the Dion train. I'm sorry. I don't get on popular trends like that. But if he comes here, he comes here. And if he changes up, I will be happy to admit I was wrong. But I'm going to pull one out of Brian. Well, it looks like I'm going to be right. That was for you, Brian Fulcher. All right, guys, we are about at the 50-minute mark. I think we have hit the majority of the topics tonight. Again, I appreciate you guys so much for being here, whether we see eye to eye or not. The topic, obviously not great. Your Tigers lose 21-17 to end out the homestand. Georgia next week. Coming up this week, a little bit different. We will have tomorrow night, we'll be doing our Auburn Experience podcast recording live again, probably at 9. Stay tuned for that, for an update on time on that, if it changes or anything like that. Monday night, live breakdown and grades with Benjamin King again. Be interesting to see how these grade out, even in a loss. And then we will have our Wednesday night show, but we will not have, at this moment, I believe, a Thursday night preview for Georgia. Not because we're dreading that. I actually had a person in mind that I'd love to do the show with, but I will be out of town. But I will be back in town to be back in studio to cover the post-game show for Georgia, no matter how bad it may be. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. A lot of good folks here tonight hanging out and just being part of the show. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. Please subscribe. Please smash that like button on the way out. You are the best little family within the Auburn family. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.